is for you, Kings fans, wherever you may be. All the frustration and disappointment of the past is gone. The 45-year drought is over. The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another post-game live here on Dime Dropper for the 2024 NBA playoffs. Before we get started, you already know the drill. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Dime Dropper and hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video of any sort. And, of course, follow your boy on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod. If you're a Clipper fan or just want to support me, subscribe to the Locked On Clippers podcast or Locked On Clippers channel on YouTube for all things Clippers. But this is where you get all things NBA. So if you're a basketball fan, you are at the right place. And we're going to be talking about some playoff games today. As I said, my goal is to have a breakdown for every single NBA playoff game, and I will not be wavering from that goal. So we are, even though we're a little bit behind, I really appreciate all the support. You guys are still watching the videos. 700 views on the last one. We were talking about the Phoenix Buns getting eliminated. That was very special. So in this one, we're going to be talking about a number of games, mostly game fives of the first round. And then we'll take questions at the end for the people that are here live. But let's get right into it with the last game four. And it was a series ender. And it's funny because the Oklahoma City Thunder have only played one game since this. So it's not even that far behind. Thunder and Pelicans game four. Okay, hold on one second, guys. It's a little too light. My face is like way too pale right now. I'm going to put the window down a little bit. Hold on tight. Let's get in here, baby. Let's get some comments. How we feeling, guys? How we feeling? Only 6 people? I get it. Middle of the day, not LA teams. Clipper fans and Laker fans are checked out. But if we're really loving the game and you want to hear me say something, you in here. And obviously it's delayed games, not even like a post game. All right, that's a little bit better. I made it as dark as I could get it. All right. And then 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. All right. OKC and New Orleans. Now, I was just looking at this game from a New Orleans perspective because I'm like, can you guys get a game? Like, for God's sake, can you guys just get a game? Similar matchups. Jonas Valanciunas and Chet matching up. Herb Jones guarding SGA. This time, Trey Murphy actually guarded J-Dub, which I'm surprised it took them this long to do that. They had mainly Brandon Ingram on Jalen Williams in the first 3 games, but more so Trey on J-Dub primarily in this one, Ingram on Lou Dort, and then CJ on Josh Giddey. Then on the other side, Lou Dort, of course, on Brandon Ingram. We're going to be talking about that a lot. J-Dub on CJ, SGA on Trey Murphy, and Giddey on Herb Jones. Jonas Valanciunas was in drop coverage, and so was Chet. And, of course, a decent amount of switching, as you would expect in any NBA game today. So to counter Chet Holmgren's pick and pop threat, the Pelicans early on were rotating a guy over to Chet because, of course, Jonas is in drop coverage. You're leaving Chet open by design. You need someone to rotate, and they force the ball to move. As far as what was working for the New Orleans Pelicans early on, and like damn near the only thing that was working consistently throughout the whole series, was throwing the ball to Jonas Valanciunas in the post against Chet, going into his chest and making Chet guard one-on-one and take a physical beating. And, of course, try to expose what his most glaring weakness is when you just look at him, is that he's thin. So in the first quarter, JV had 4 points, but it was a decent first quarter for the Pels. It was tied after 1. Apparently, and I was watching it on the Pels local broadcast with Joel Myers and Antonio Daniels. For those unfamiliar, Joel Myers was actually the Laker play-by-play announcer when I first started watching basketball. He didn't get his contract renewed after the 2010-11 season, and then he's been the Pelicans announcer basically ever since, all of the AD era. So he's been with the Pels longer than he's been with any NBA franchise. And Antonio Daniels is a super passionate color commentator who, of course, is most famous for getting crossed up by Allen Iverson in one of the greatest ankle breakers of my childhood. That was signature. But Antonio Daniels, he's a hardworking player, and he's really good on the call really passionate. It sounds like he should be, I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's a lot because he's so energetic. I think he should be on the sidelines. He clearly cares a lot and has a competitive fire to his voice. He's great at what he does, but I think that he might, I don't know. He sounds like someone who wants to be on the sidelines, wants to be in the team. Says he's like a lot of NBA color commentators these days on these local feeds. They're getting really, what's it called? Like they're straight up just leaning all into the fact that they're fans of the team or working for that team, which I'm not totally opposed to hearing, but it is one thing to hear a color commentator say we on a broadcast. If they're like a legend for that organization, I kind of understand. But like I never grew up with Mike Smith or Stu Lance saying we, or Ralph Lawler and Billy Mack or Joel Myers. None of them said we. So it's definitely a little bit interesting. But let's see, what else do I got? So apparently the Pelicans from the broadcast, straight from the broadcast, were saying they should shoot 43s. And as a result, in the beginning of the game, they just took some quick ones, rushed in transition. CJ McCollum spearheading that. Again, one thing, and I'm gonna harp on this a lot. By the way, if there's a lag of any sort, please let me know. My computer is desperately needing a cleaning of, not like the inside of the computer, but clearing space off of it. I have so many files, so I just bought another hard drive, and I'm gonna clear space off it. So let me know if there's a lag. You live people, the audio listeners, it should be fine. But one thing I'm going to keep harping on is that I'm actually appalled by the shot selection of some of these players in the playoffs. I mean, the game has changed. The game has changed. And I truly just don't believe everything's for the better. I've said this since it's been one of the premises of my channel. Absolute insanity. Some of the shots that are being taken in the playoffs. No regard for valuing the ball or getting the best shot you can get. I understand a lot of teams want to push pace in today's game, but a contested three is not a good shot. I mean, on any level, I just don't think a contested three is a good shot. It's absurd to me. And the Pelicans, I think they were just a prime example of doing that, a little bit of that as well. But as far as why they couldn't score too much, Lou Dort was just clamping Brandon Ingram. Like just straight up clamping him. Every game of the series, he puts a whole new kind of meaning to fighting through a screen or fighting over a screen. I mean, this guy just blows shit up. He's chest to chest with Ingram, not giving him a second of space. I mean, it was one of the most incredible, like, defensive one-on-one showings in a series that I'd ever seen from a player. I got to give him a lot of credit. He was just spectacular. Brandon Ingram was clamped the entire series. And I mean, it says something about BI too. Like, I got to say something about BI. He's one of my favorite players because you guys know I love mid-range guys. I love dudes that can post. But he did not get any easy baskets. He couldn't get to the rim in any way, shape, or form. He's not like a great off-ball guy that works very quickly off the catch or is a spot-up three-point shooter. He doesn't really like to shoot threes. So, he's a decent cutter, I guess. He just doesn't move that much to me on the court. I love Brandon Ingram, and I know he was coming off an injury, but I got to go check the tape back in 2022 to see if he had any more of a quicker step on him because, everything is with the defense in front of him. He's not getting the step on anybody. And the thing about Mark Daigneault and the Thunder in this series, and you notice it with the Minnesota Timberwolves as well, they do not just bullshit switch. Antonio Daniels in commentary kept talking about the Pelicans trying to push the pace to get Brandon Ingram cross matches, meaning that people besides Lou Dort guarding him so that he could go to work. And, that did not happen very much. Larry Nance came in for the Pels, and instead of switching, he was actually in drop coverage most of the time. Najee Marshall took a lot of SGA defensively. But, the one thing I was looking at was, can the Pelicans take advantage of the non-SGA minutes? And they didn't do that. And partially it was because they couldn't stop J-Dub from getting downhill. This guy is such a spectacular player. Love watching him play. He is a true three-level scorer, embraces the mid-range, and from what I've seen so far, can pull up going both ways. And he's good going both ways, finishing around the basket, and he's really strong. I really like this, and he can guard. He's just such a spectacular overall player that they got with our pick. Don't remind me. Now, speaking of a young player on the Thunder doing good things, Chet Holmgren, the amount of shots that he was changing and altering at the rim was pretty remarkable. Herb Jones missed several shots around the basket due to Chet. I don't even know if I could blame Herb Jones for that because, like, he's not a great scorer. He's going to improve as his career goes on for sure, but he's out there because he's a defensive rebound. He's a defensive player that can rebound and hustle. One of the best defensive players in the NBA. But finishing over Chet, yeah, good luck. CJ McCollum was also not hitting, taking a lot of bad shots. Again, he's another guy who doesn't get enough good, easy baskets. It's all contested jump shots for the most part, or just jump shots in general. Nothing easy. Can't get the step on great defenders anymore. And there were times he would oh my goodness. He would come off a screen with the ball in his hands, and he would hesitate to shoot the mid-range of the floater because there was a defender breathing down his neck. But sometimes he was open and he didn't take it. So the game, I guess, felt a little fast for him. He didn't, and this is in every game of the series, basically, for him. CJ McCollum, I'm a fan of his as well, but there is like no defense for the way he's played the last couple of postseasons. And if I were the Pelicans, I would really move on from him. He's not really a true point guard. He's just he's a decent third guy, but he's had to, it's like a Clipper situation, right? He's had to play. The Pelicans have asked more of what's should have been needed from him because Zion is constantly injured and they've had so many injuries, and he's probably been the most healthy of the three, but he's just not performed in the postseason. He's not a true point guard. Doesn't help them defend. He's not young. I think you move on from him. And I don't know his contract situation. I would have to look at it. But let's take guys, is there a lag? Because it's really lagging on my end. My computer definitely needs a little bit of clearing some space because this is what I call clot. Any standout scores in the first quarter for either team? No. Second quarter, let's take a look. Jesus. CJ McCollum. Okay, CJ McCollum was 2 for 3 in the second quarter. Brandon Ingram 0 for 3. Nobody over 5 points in either quarter for the Pels. Jalen Williams had 9 points in the second for the Thunder. So let's see. What else do I got from that first half? Yeah, the Pels, every single time they had a chance to make a run or hit an open three that would really push momentum or make a layup, and they didn't convert, the Thunder would always make them pay. They never really, throughout the course of 4 games, allowed the Pelicans to get any sort of momentum. Just at all. At all. So that was impressive to me. Jalen Williams had 13 at the half. SGA had 9. It was 44-43 Thunder at halftime. So again, just like game 1, very defensive game. Both teams are good defensively, making life tough on the star players of the other team. But SGA just very clearly is the best player in the series. And you know what? Through 4 games, I have to say, Jalen Williams was the second best player in the series. And he might just be. And there's no way you're winning a series usually when you're the 2 best players in the other team. It's very difficult. Third quarter. Oh, yeah, I wanted to check Brandon Ingram's points in the first half, but I think I missed that opportunity there. Yeah, CJ and Ingram are the reason why the fact that it was a 1-point game, to me, that a lot of that is the Pelican supporting cast. In the first half, let me take a look at CJ and Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram was 1 for 7 in the first half, 4 points. CJ McCollum 3 for 7, 7 points. These guys have 7 shot attempts. Jonas having more shot attempts than them is actually fine, but this is not emptying the clip. Both teams not shooting well at all. But I like these kind of games, defensive minded. And as I said, Mark Dagnall was not letting Lou Dort switch off Brandon Ingram by any means. unless I think it was Jalen Williams guarding him. Then they would concede that switch. But teams aren't going to usually put Jalen Williams in the action. So third quarter, CJ was starting to heat up, had a little bit of an injury scare, but ended up coming back in the game. I thought Najee Marshall was really good for the Pels. Good defense on both ends, whether it was against SGA or help defense, and then he was knocking down shots. The thing that really held the Pelicans back, though, was they had 7 turnovers in the third quarter, and a lot of that was due to the physicality of the game. Brandon Ingram, I will say, he did make some good passes, though, like out of the post. Defense is going to load up on him, try to make him a passer, and try to make it as tough as possible for him and throw multiple bodies at him. And he had some good passes. And that's one thing I will say has improved from Brandon Ingram's game. He has really improved passing the ball. But this game was like neck and neck the whole way. Herb Jones had a pretty solid third quarter. Finished around the basket a couple times. I believe hit a 3. Let me double check. So third quarter, it was a 28-26 advantage for the Pels. SGA had 10 in the third for OKC. And then Ingram 0 for 3 in the third quarter, but 5 assists. So there you go. Jonas Valanciunas had 6 points in the third. Again, consistently trying to feed him. And then Herb Jones had 7. And McCollum had 7 on 3 for 3 shooting in that quarter. And Najee Marshall 6 with 2 made threes. So 50% from the field and 50 from 3 in that quarter for the Pels. Starting to heat up. Had a 1-point lead going into the fourth quarter. You're thinking maybe this is the game that they can get a win. All it comes down to now is CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram finishing the job. And they fell flat. JV, Jonas Valanciunas, had like a nice turnaround over the right shoulder, drop step in the left corner. And Pels went up 80-75. That was on Chet. The Thunder called a timeout. And they ended up going on an 8-0 run. 3 threes were made by Josh Giddey in the fourth quarter. Josh Giddey. And he shot really well in the game 3. Huge shots. And I thought the Pels, overall, they did a good job on SGA. Throughout the series, did a pretty good job. Made life tough for him. They stripped him a couple times when he was running into multiple bodies in this game. But he was still getting his. And the Thunder went on an 18-2 run in this stretch. 18-2 run. You got really nothing from Brandon Ingram or Trey Murphy. The Pelicans returned the ball over too much. Just everything was easier for the Thunder. They had the 2 best players in the series. They have a pick and pop big in Chet. And they move the ball quicker. I just think CJ and Ingram, they don't really quite match the pace of the role players on this team in New Orleans. But the Thunder, man, they all meshed together pretty well. Super well coached. Not no fake 1 seed by any means. I mean, this is as mentally tough of a young team I've seen in my entire time watching basketball. I mean, it's quite impressive. And it starts with SGA. But hold on, before I give them their flowers, 18-2 run. As I said, too many Pelican turnovers. And I'll tell you who really sealed the game. It was that guy J-Dub again. Huge 3 to make it 88-82. And then another 3 to make it 93-82. And I think the moral of the story for the Pels is that their 3-point shooting throughout the series wasn't good enough compared to OKC. And I think that's largely because the Thunder's quality of looks is a lot better. And that's because their process is better and they're just a better team. And it starts with the fact that Zion Williamson didn't play. We talk about easy baskets, generating paint buckets and all that. What does Zion do? Exactly that. So it's just like the Clippers. You cannot, and even Milwaukee, who we're going to get to later in this video, it's impossible, almost impossible to win a series without your best player. So when people talk about, minimizing what, and I know it's not the time to be defending Paul George, but minimizing what he did, even though it was just for 2 games in that Utah series, they should not. That was incredible what he did, especially with all the shit everybody said about him all season in that previous offseason because of the bubble. It's very hard to do this. Magic Johnson, same thing. The fact that he pulled that game off in the Spectrum, I've watched that game. We're going to break it down one day. It's unbelievable. But there's some things that the Sixers didn't do well. And that's going to be so fun to break down. But point is, it's really hard to win without your best player. And that was the same for the Pelicans. I was just hoping that they could win 1 game because against the Suns 2 years ago, they didn't have Zion either. And they ended up winning 2 games. And that's because Brandon Ingram was way better. That's the difference. It's like, it's not rocket science, really. It's really that. Brandon Ingram was way better. I'm not saying he declined as a basketball player, but he played like ass in this series, and that's because Lou Dort put him in Fortress. It was unbelievable. The Dorcher Chamber, is that what they're calling it now? I mean, it was unreal the way he locked his ass up this entire series. And, CJ and Ingram, they blew the series in terms of any chance for the Pels to me. They didn't score. SGA and J-Dub were the best two players in the series. I want to just say it was very touching, the Pelicans broadcast, the ending of the broadcast with Antonio Daniels and Joel Myers just saying how much it hurt, to end another season like that without Zion. And, it sucked because it's just like the Clippers. They were healthy all season. They had their best season yet. They were really on our tails for the 4 seed at one point. Brandon Ingram goes down. It changes everything. And then Zion gets injured in the play-in. Moral of the story, fuck the play-in, man. Why you got these guys playing extra games? If we didn't have the play-in, we could have seen Zion in the playoffs. Screw Adam Silver. All right, let's read the lines from game 4. By the way, in the fourth quarter, Jalen Williams, 11 points. Josh Giddey, 9 points. Brandon Ingram, 1 for 4. Jonas Valanciunas, 1 for 5. CJ McCollum, 6 points on 3 for 6 in the fourth. So he actually was the best of the losing squad in that quarter, but not like that matters. All right, for the game, Aaron Wiggins played 16 minutes and had 5 points on 2 for 7 shooting and 1 for 5 from 3. I still haven't seen him play alongside Isaiah Joe. It seems like they are played at different times. Isaiah Joe, 2 points on 1 for 5 shooting, 14 minutes for him. Cason Wallace also got 14 minutes and had a donut on 0 for 2 shooting. Jalen Williams from Arkansas played just 11 minutes, had 3 points and 2 boards, and made his only shot, and that was a 3. Gordon Hayward played 4 minutes and did not take a shot again. I don't even know if he shot the entire series. Mods, if you're here, you can check that for me, potentially. So it was really just a game with the starters going all in for OKC. Josh Giddey played 29 and a half minutes and had a very solid game, mainly because of that fourth quarter. And I have to say, he's really held his own defensively in that series. There's no complaints, really. I mean, it's hard to complain when you go 4-0. But I'm interested to see how in the Dallas series, when Luka and Kyrie are trying to put him in the action, how he responds. Because he wasn't really picked on. He wasn't really exploited in any way in this series. And that partially it's because they're not just going to willingly switch him onto good players. See, they actually because they have the athletes to recover in rotation. That's the thing. And they have Chet down there. It's a very good team. And we literally built it for them, which is the biggest bullet to the head. Anyway, Giddey, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, just 1 turnover on 5 for 10 shooting, 4 for 6 from 3. If Josh Giddey's going to shoot 50, 67 splits, Thunder might win the championship. Anyway, how about Lou Dort? 11 points, 8 rebounds, 3 of those offensive, 3 assists, 2 steals, and just 1 turnover on 4 for 7 shooting and 2 for 5 from 3. He has been unbelievable in this first. I mean, he was just amazing in this series. There's nothing else to say. Just amazing. One of the best defenders in the NBA. Credit goes where it's due. By the way, I'm still going to keep asking people in the lives, is it lagging? Because it's really lagging for me and I don't like it. So please let me know if it's unbearable. Is the audio lagging at all? I think if the audio is okay, that's the most important thing. But let's see. Oh, yeah. Going back to... Sorry about that. Going back to the lines. Chet Holmgren, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Did turn the ball over 3 times, though. 5 for 12 in the field and 1 for 7 from 3 and 3 for 4 from the line in 35 minutes. I think, he didn't shoot well in this game, but his presence is just so... The fact that he didn't have 1 block is so funny because it doesn't tell anything of the story. He is such a great anchor defensively, and for a young player, I mean, he is a rim deterrent. No doubt about it. Jalen Williams. I don't know if he was the player of the game. He might have been. I honestly would give it to him. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Did turn the ball over 3 times, though. But 9 for 17 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, 4 for 5 from the line in 38 minutes. This guy's going to be a superstar. Yeah, I said it. Superstar. He's a special player on both ends of the floor. Great first playoff series. Has had no exposure to playoff basketball in any way except for the play-in game last year. 2 playing games, one against Minnesota and the other against these Pelicans. And it turns out the Thunder just own the Pelicans right now. I mean, it's sad. Great series for J-Dub. And then SGA, his first playoff series being schemed as the guy, had Herb Jones on him the entire series. And he was held to some rough shooting games, but overall, he was the best player in the series and still created enough for the Thunder to be the far superior team. In this game, he had a double-double, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, 8 for 21 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and a very uncharacteristic 7 for 13 from the foul line. So he had a really bad shooting game in every aspect. Played 40 minutes and was just really solid throughout the series. I got nothing bad to say about him. He is truly a special player, and he was ours. He was drafted by the LA Clippers. That is just absolutely devastating, man. Absolutely devastating in many ways. The Thunder shot 43% from the field, 30% from 3, and 62.5% from the foul line. The Pelicans shot 38% from the field, 23.5% from 3, but 85% from the foul line. So they just did not shoot well enough from the field. Let's read the lines for the Pels. Jordan Hawkins actually got 4 minutes in this game for a little bit of shooting. I think that was one of the complaints of Pelicans fans throughout the years, that they lacked some three-point shooting, and Jordan Hawkins didn't get enough minutes. Hopefully that'll be somebody they see play more next season. A donut. He was 0 for 2, 0 for 1 from 3. Jose Alvarado did not have a very good series, in my opinion. Didn't really impact the game in too many ways. He usually has the Alvarado, I don't even know if there's a word for it or a name for it, but the stretches that he can come in and affect. You saw it in the playing game against the Lakers and against the Kings. Didn't really see that in the series against the Thunder. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. So there you go. You got some defense there. 1 for 4 from the field and 0 for 3 from deep. Needed some better three-point shooting from Jose. Larry Nance played 21 minutes, 6 points, 6 boards, 1 assist on 2 for 4 shooting and 0 for 2 from 3. I don't really have much to say about Larry Nance. I think he's good in his role. And then Najee Marshall, he was one of the better Pels in this game. 16 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist on 5 for 9 shooting, 4 for 7 from 3. I think Najee Marshall has a good future. Definitely a good guy to keep around. He'll be a solid role player in the league. Then the starters. Jonas Valanciunas played the least, had 4 fouls, but he had a double-double. 19 points, 13 rebounds, 6 of those offensive rebounds, 6 for 15 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, 7 for 8 from the foul line. He was a beast. Honestly, he was a beast. Is Jonas Valanciunas, though, and Larry Nance a good enough center rotation? I don't know. I don't think that's good enough. And he should definitely try to upgrade in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, Jonas is Jonas. I think he had a good series, all things considered. Probably the best of any Pelican. Trey Murphy, it was a tough one for him. 7 points, 11 rebounds. 11 rebounds is impressive. 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. 4 turnovers, though. 3 for 10 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. So just needed more from Trey in 43 minutes of play. Herb Jones, 11 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, a block, 3 turnovers, though. So Trey Murphy and Herb Jones combining for 7 turnovers, given that they don't handle the ball that much, that is way too much. 4 for 11 from the field, 1 for 3 from deep in 34 minutes. So Herb Jones, he did not have a good series shooting the ball. Or I'm sorry, a good game shooting the ball. But I thought that he played well because he's making life tough on SGA. And then you have the stars. CJ McCollum, 20 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 9 for 16 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. I think CJ played okay. It would have really helped if he shot better from 3, but it's not good enough. 20 points is not enough. You need 25 plus. Brandon Ingram, talk about not good enough. 8 points. 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, 2 for 14 from the field, 0 for 3 from deep. The Pelicans shot 8 for 34 from 3. Brandon Ingram, I love this guy. I really do. But he just was not good enough, man. He just wasn't good enough. He got locked up. The problem is, like, now what do you do with Ingram? He's got one more year on his contract. I don't know what his ceiling is as a basketball player. Is he going to get any better? Because he did not get better since 2024 outside of passing to me. He played poor. I mean, not one good game in this series. I'm so disappointed in him. He's one of my favorite players in the league. He's too injury prone. And if he's going to do this, he might need to be a third best player on a championship team. That might be his ceiling. Third best player on a championship team. So we'll see if the Pels try to trade him. I don't know if you want to pay him. He's going to probably want a lot of money because you're going to be paying him for his prime years. I don't know. It's tough with the Pels, man. They have two injury-prone faces of the franchise, just like us. Congratulations to the Thunder, though. Absolute congratulations. So impressive. And yeah, we're going to see their series against Dallas. That'll be a fun one. All right, now let's take our talents to my second home of Beantown to talk very briefly, and I emphasize very briefly, on the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. By the way, super chats are turned on. If you want to drop $1 or a dime, any donation is appreciated. And if you want me to read one of your comments directly right now, I will read it. You got to give me some money because your boy does not get paid enough for this. But let's talk about the Celtics and the Heat very briefly. No Kristaps Porzingis, who was out with that calf injury that we talked about in Game 4. Why is my screen so bright? Oh, my God. And Jaime Jaquez was out in this game with a hip injury. So DeLon Wright started instead. And, man, this was an absolute beatdown. Al Horford started in place of Porzingis. He guarded Bam. Holiday guarded Hero. And, of course, the Celtics have no problems switching 1 through 4. It must be hell for another team. It's like, okay, Drew Holiday's guarding me. Let me put somebody in the action. Oh, shit. Jason Tatum's on me now. All right, let me get someone else in the action. Oh, man, it's Jaylen Brown now. All right, last guy, come over. It's Derek White now. So it's like, it's just, that is hell. I mean, that is absolute hell. On the other side, you had Bam on Tatum, Caleb Martin on Drew Holiday, Tyler Hero on Jaylen Brown, DeLon Wright on Derek White, and Nikola Jovic on Al Horford. Now, what are some of the mismatches there? The main one, Jaylen Brown against Tyler Hero. And in this game, I excuse my language, but the Celtics, they made Tyler Hero his bitch. Their bitch. I mean, it was just brutal. They brutalized him. It was so bad. Every single time down the floor, damn near, it felt like they were going at him. Jaylen was getting whatever he wanted. And so far through one round, I know it was a hampered Miami Heat team. Didn't have Rozier for one game. That's so unfortunate after trading for him. And Jimmy, I mean, again, Adam Silver, you freaking dickhead. Another guy that got injured in the play-in. You're just giving these guys more chances of getting hurt. Abolish the play-in. People are so, like, saying that, oh, my God, the end of the season race has gotten so much better. I think it's maybe gotten a little bit better, but, like, are you forgetting how many, like, late season pushes there were in the past, seeding fights? Like, come on, you can't tell me the regular season is better now or more emphasized now or more exciting. They literally put a 65-game rule because they didn't think the regular season product was good enough. 65 games. And I think it really worked. I think this was the best regular season since 2019. I really do. Because that's before load management was really like something league-wide. And, to me, it also has given teams a bigger safety net. That they're like, okay, as long as we finish, like, it's no difference finishing 7 or 9. You know, it's of course there is, but for them, it's like we still got a chance. I don't like that bigger safety net. We're already the sport in America where 16 teams out of 30 make the playoffs, and you want to give more teams a chance? I mean, it's just a little much, and it hasn't really prevented tanking that much, in my opinion. I mean, teams are still tanking when they realize they got no chance. I really think at least there should be a game limit or something. I think you just scrap it all together. The in-season tournament, everybody knows I'm a resistant to change guy, but I also hate Adam Silver for a variety of reasons. And I just think the regular season, this was the best one in years, but because of the 65-game rule, which I like, but it's just embarrassing you have to even do this. You're basically admitting what I've been saying, that the regular season product is not strong enough for how much talent you really have in this league. It's not. And that's why the playoffs are just so damn great. Like, the playoffs have always been great, but now the gap between regular season quality and playoffs has been heightened even more. Because with all the load management and the most injuries ever and how hard it is to play defense these days, And so teams sometimes just completely take games off on that end of the floor. And it's just insane. So I'm enjoying the playoffs immensely. And that's why I'm putting all this work in to watch every fucking game, because I do not take for granted how special they are. So anyway, what else is there to even talk about in this game? Oh, Jaylen Brown, by the way, I was saying, even though it's a hampered Miami team, he's showing that he's gotten better with his left. He was driving hard left a couple times and finishing. How about, and then Al Horford was in drop coverage, Bam in drop coverage. He had, Jaylen Brown had 8 points just all off layups, like right away in the first 5 minutes of the game. But the guy I have to talk about, Derek White. Dude, this guy, I don't even know what to say, but 3 games in a row, this guy has given every single thing that was putting that whole Derek White should be an all-star campaign in the air, like, validity. I mean, this guy's hitting contested threes. We already know what he does on defense, how he's a team player and all that. He can play, make and pick and roll a bit, but he's hitting contested threes. I mean, what is going on here? This guy, I don't doubt that he's been doing it all season. This guy had 15 points in the first quarter. And as far as defensively, like, it's not hard to guard the Heat. I will say, Bam Adebayo, I give him so much credit. He showed me so much aggression. 9 shots in the first quarter, a lot of it just in the mid post. You know, he's really gotten better in that area. I saw that, and last year when he averaged 20 in the finals, I was like, you know what? Bam did his part. It was Jimmy that didn't show up to the party in the finals. And you can blame it on the injury all you want, but he didn't play well enough, in my opinion, because he had played against Aaron Gordon and they didn't fall for his fakes. And then you get to see that Jimmy's bag is not that big. And I'm a big Jimmy guy. Remember, I had him in my top 5 this season because of the playoffs. Oh, he's taking a nosedive in my rankings after this season. Nosedive. And the injury, I don't blame him, but like, look, Miami, a couple of games difference and they're not in the plan. And then you don't have that happen. By the way, when Jimmy Butler got injured, it's because he did not go up strong. That was ridiculous. He was self-inflicted damn near. That's why you go up strong. Pump faking and shit. Leaning in for fouls. Come on, Jimmy. I just think it was the arrogance. I like Jimmy Butler, and I love Jimmy Butler, but now I have to decrease it to like. The fact that he has this arrogance because of the playoff performances that he has, even though I still don't think he's a number 1 on a championship team. He's at best the number 1 on a team that makes the finals. Acting like that the whole season, just resting 10 games into the season is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, just an embarrassment to all the greats that came before you that played through any sort of pain, quite frankly. Like, come on, dude. That's Heat culture. And I don't blame the Godfather for the comments he made after the season about how he needs to shut his mouth and all that. The Godfather knows, man, he's a winner at every stage. That's my idol right there. So, dude, don't play with the Godfather. And here's the thing about the Godfather. He failed miserably this past offseason. Miserably. He did not upgrade the roster offensively where it needed to be upgraded. They sat on their hands and were like, we're okay. Total mistake. They got to make some real changes this summer. They got to make some real changes. That's not good enough. Your Eric Spoelstra is quite incredible as a coach. Bam Adebayo is amazing. He's doing his part. You got to improve this roster. You got to get better offensively. Tyler Hero has way too big of a role to me. You got to see if you can get rid of him. I would try to, put my net out for anybody, like straight up Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, Kawhi even. Like, I would go all in and try to be like, yo, we need one of these guys. And then keep Jimmy in that case. Can they even do that? I don't know. I'm not here to go through the Miami Heat's financials, but let's see. Jaylen Brown, he had 8 points in the first. Jason Tatum had 9 points in the first. The Heat, let's see, it was 41-23 after the first quarter. The Celtics hit 8 threes in the first quarter. 3 from Derek White, 2 from Tatum, and then 2 from Sam Hauser, which is coming in starting to light it up. Shout out to my boy Dean. He's giving me shit about, you don't understand how good Sam Hauser is. Oh, man. Classic Celtic white guy shooter. These guys treat like he's fucking Kyle Korver. Anyway, second quarter was actually a decent quarter for the Heat. It was 27-23 in favor of Boston. Jaylen Brown had 9 points in the second. He just continued to be really aggressive. They were just abusing Tyler Hero. And I will say, Luke Cornett played instead of because they didn't have Porzingis off the bench, and he did such a good job of defending Bam with physicality, not falling for fakes, just staying up strong, vertical, and getting a hand up. And as it continued to be the Derek White show. And when the Celtics were causing misses, they were getting into instant offense, you know what I mean? In transition, cross matches, attacking them, always attacking Tyler Hero, and just constantly getting the defense in rotation and swinging the ball, and it was moving beautifully, knocking down threes. That's when Boston's at their best. When Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum are being aggressive, going to the basket, and they have the defense in rotation. But the way Derek White's playing, it's like he's playing like a third star. And Porzingis was playing like a star as well in games 1 and 3. Was it games 1 and 4? I believe it was games 1 and 4. Maybe it was games 1 and 3. I mean, this team, the talent is just undeniably the best in the league. Undeniably the best in the league in terms of the talent on the team. There's no excuse for these guys not to win it. And the funny thing is, with what it's looking like, and I haven't even watched one game of that series, and I can't wait to, Minnesota is going to beat Denver. And I'm going to look like a clown because I was so high on the Denver train for repeat. Boston at that point has to win it all. You can't lose. I don't give a shit how good Minnesota is defensively. They've never even smelled a finals. Their whole franchise has never touched it. Anthony Edwards is 22. You cannot lose to them in the finals. Boston has to win. You have to win this. It's no joke. I know Tatum's young, but you have no excuse with the young argument when you're playing against Ant-Man in the finals leading the way. Jason Tatum, do not let Anthony Edwards win finals MVP before you do. You are the next up American, brother. This is it. This is it for you. You've got to get this banner 18. By the way, you know what? It would be an amazing story to have the Timberwolves win a championship, but they've never even made the finals. And you know who else hasn't made the finals? The Clippers. And you know who's been a worse franchise all time than the Clippers in terms of actual success? The Timberwolves. We can't have them win a championship before us. I'm going to get so sad. And it's going to definitely probably happen because Ant-Man is just that dude, but I may actually root for Boston over Minnesota. Because you know what? The Celtics, it's been a while. And I did say that Boston sports was going into a drought, and they were. But I did also say that Tatum's going to win banner 18 for the Celtics, and I said it was going to happen in this decade. And I think the time has kind of come. So they put such a good roster around him. I mean, Drew Holiday, I wanted to say also in this game, there's been a couple of rough shooting games for Drew, and it's because he takes bad shots, which he always has. But when he doesn't take bad shots like this game and he just plays within the flow of the offense, he's such an incredible guy to have. He's such a good defender. He does all the little things to help you win. No ego, moves the ball, can play, make and pick and roll, knock down the open three. I mean, he's a champion for a reason. He's a champion for a reason. There's a reason why he always, his bad shooting games don't stick out like others. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm talking to a certain subsection of people, of course. And I'm not saying what you think I'm saying, but I'm saying there's a reason why he's so valued. Come on, man. Don't be stupid. Winning bias. Yeah. The goal of the game is to win, not just put up good stats and shoot a good shooting percentage. Basketball is much bigger than that. And winning games tell stories. When you get a lot of minutes on a winning team, that tells a story. In every sport, by the way. I've noticed, it's funny. My Chelsea Blues, my boys. I've been such a shitty soccer fan lately, man. Since I became close to Locked On Clippers, shitty soccer fan. But Chelsea, I try to watch every game. I haven't been able to the last 2 years. When we won the league in 2017 and 2015, every single player that was a consistent starter had a good season. Because you cannot win the Premier League and start so much on the team that wins the league and not have a good season. It's impossible. You have to play at a certain level to even get the minutes on those kind of teams at every level. So, you know what I'm saying? Drew Holiday, it's not a secret why his plus minus is so high all the time. Let's look at the lines for this game. Unfortunately for the Heat, they just had nowhere near enough to compete with the Celtics team. It just wasn't even close. This series was shitty. Every game was kind of a waste except for game 2. The Heat shot 41% from the field. Listen to this 3-point percentage. 3 for 29, 10%. 3 for 29. 9 for 10 from the foul line. The Celtics shot 54.5% from the field, 40 from 3, 67 from the foul line, though. Got to be better there. Luke Cornett played 18 minutes and had 2 points, 7 boards, and 2 assists. Peyton Pritchard, 27 minutes, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, but he didn't shoot well. 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 3 from deep. Sam Hauser, what a game he had off the bench. 17 points and 5 boards, 6 for 10 from the field, and 5 for 8 from 3. Man was lighting it up. Then the starters, Al Horford, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal on 3 for 4 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. Jason Tatum, wow, he only shot 9 times, but it was a really good all-around series for Tatum. It didn't have to work too hard. Obviously, the workload is going to increase in the next series. 16 points, 12 rebounds. How about doing the dirty work, though? 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 2 turnovers on 4 for 9 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3. Free throw shooting, though, 6 for 9 from the foul line. SGA, Tatum, come on. I said Al Horford, yeah, 8 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 3 for 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. And then Drew Holiday, 10 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers on 60% shooting, 3 for 5. So not too many shot attempts. 2 for 4 from 3. You'll take that all day. And then 2 for 2 from the line in 34 minutes. Dude was a plus 22. Awesome. Probably his best game of the series. And had an overall solid series. I mean, didn't shoot very well, but he still plays well because he guards. Derek White, he might have been the best player for the Celtics in the whole series. I think he was, honestly. 25 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover on 8 for 13 shooting, 5 for 10 from 3. And they're not just wide open catch and shoot threes. 4 for 5 from the foul line in 29 minutes. This dude is, I don't know. I can't even understand the level that he's playing at. And then you have the Jays. I already talked about Tatum. Jaylen Brown, he had a really good game. 25 points, 6 boards, 2 assists. Turnovers, though, got to be careful with that. That's what dug them, their elimination against Miami. 5 turnovers for Jaylen, 11 for 19 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, 10 for 12 from 2, 2 for 5 on the foul line. So what's up with the Jays combined 8 for 14 from the foul line? That can't happen. But a solid 118-84 win by the C's. Sheesh. 34-point victory. So they look every bit of a championship team so far. Super chat by Lloyd Tackwell. Thank you so much. He says OKC goes 11 deep. Coach is like Oprah. Everyone plays. Thank you so much, Lloyd. Let's now talk about, yes, for the Heat, as I said, major changes need to be made. For Boston, mission accomplished. It's not a true revenge, though, on Miami for last year without Jimmy. Now let's talk about the best series of the first round, and in my opinion, the best game of the first round. The New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Man, going into this game, the Knicks had only won by a total of 4 points in the series. Like, the overall score of the series was the Knicks up by 4. And the fact that the Sixers are down 3-1 comes down to the fact that they haven't closed games properly. Games 2 and 4 in particular. And here's a stat for you. Joel Embiid in fourth quarters in the first 4 games, 3 for 18. Deuce McBride has outscored the entire 76ers bench throughout the series thus far. By the way, and the Knicks bench gets a huge hit. Bogdanovich had to get foot surgery, or is it ankle surgery? So he's out for the season, and he played great in game 1. So that's tough for the Knicks. But let's talk about the matchups. Same ones. Embiid matching up with Hartenstein. Tobias Harris on OG Anunoby, and OG Anunoby on him as well. Kelly Oubre on Brunson like he's been all series. Maxey on DiVincenzo, and then Lowry on Josh Hart. Hartenstein on Embiid. Brunson against Lowry. Hart on Tyrese Maxey for the second straight game. OG on Tobias, and then DiVincenzo on Kyle Lowry. Embiid was in drop coverage, but to start the game, Isaiah Hartenstein was not in drop coverage on Maxey. He was showing and recovering to try to take away that pull-up and that downhill threat from Maxey. When Mitchell Robinson came in, he was in drop coverage. Now, just like games 1 and 2 at the Garden, the Sixers got off to a good start, and it started with Embiid getting doubled in the post against Isaiah Hartenstein, and he was making plays off of that. Tobias had the first 5 points for the Sixers, and he's been absolutely putrid in the first 4 games, so they needed something from him in this game. 5 points to begin the game. Now, I posted this on Twitter, but there was a stretch of basketball the Sixers had where they were literally just jacking threes early in the shot clock. And this goes back to what I said at the top of this episode. What is this shot selection? Like, do you guys, your season is on the line. I don't give a fuck that they won. your season's on the line and you're taking shots like that, you're not serious basketball players. You're not serious basketball players. Contested threes are never going to be a good shot to me. Luckily for them, the Knicks started out 0 for 8, literally scoreless for the first 4 minutes. But then they went 7 for 7 after. And it starts with, of course, Jalen Brunson, who's literally creating everything for this team. And it's like basically Jalen Brunson pick and roll like almost every single time down the floor. But on the Sixers side of things, Tyrese Maxey had 11 points in the first, but it was answered by an 11-4 run by the Knicks, led by OG Anunoby and Josh Hart, playing good defense, stopping Embiid. There was one time where OG had an amazing block and help, and then they got out and ran. Josh Hart got an and one in that first quarter. And OG Anunoby did a good job of getting out and running and just being around the basket, available for layups and dunks and passes from his teammates. Embiid was bricking majorly to start the game, but he was at least being aggressive. And the Sixers, this was such a game of runs. It was just run after run. Philly went on an 8-0 run towards the end of the first quarter, and it started with really good defense by Nicholas Batum and Kelly Oubre on Jalen Brunson. And the Knicks, they had 4 turnovers in the first quarter. So after the first quarter, I thought the Sixers, were right there. You're like, they're just hanging around doing their part so far. Tyrese Maxey was the guy that was getting the buckets, though, because Joel Embiid, it was partially good defense by Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson, but just missing shots at the same time as well. Let's see. In the first quarter, the score after it was 26-17 Sixers. So they had a lockdown first quarter, held the Knicks to 39% from the field and 0 for 5 from 3. Jalen Brunson had only 2 points and was 1 for 4 in the first. And he played the entire first, as did OG Anunoby and Josh Hart. As far as the Sixers, nobody played the whole first. Embiid had 3 points on 1 for 5 shooting, but he did have 3 assists. Tobias had 7 points in the first, so really solid there. Now, when Paul Reed came in, he was hedging and recovering on the screens with Brunson. He was not playing drop coverage because he's not really any rim deterrent in any way, so he might as well. And Philly, like they have in the entire series, were really struggling to score without Embiid. And that's what they need, Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey, to pick up the slack. The Knicks went on an 18-2 run, and it began before Embiid came back in, but when Embiid came back in, nothing changed, and Embiid was just getting locked up. Mitchell Robinson, and this honestly was throughout the game, was really locking him up, getting into his airspace, not giving him space to shoot, and Embiid just did not put the ball on the floor and try to get by him enough. Wasn't aggressive enough. When he did, he's constantly trying to foul bait. He's catching the ball so far away from the basket, so far. And when he's shooting jump shots with him right in his face and getting blocked. There was one time when Robinson blocked him, and that really sparked this whole run. And Deuce McBride, who's been just insane in this series, had 5 straight points in transition. A 3-ball, and then he took it all the way. Philly was turning it over left and right, and it starts with the 2 best players on the team. Oubre missed 2 wide open corner threes, and everything was just on the perimeter because the Knicks' ball pressure became so good. And I don't understand why it took Nick Nurse so long to call timeout. The play that kind of capped it off was the Josh Hart. The Sixers went into a little zone for a sec. Josh Hart caught a pass and immediately rifled a lob to Mitchell Robinson, and he threw it down. It was insane. Put the Knicks up 37-31, and the Sixers called for time. The 76ers, as far as defensive schemes further, they were letting Tobias Harris switch on to Brunson, and Tobias has held his own for the most part defensively so far through 4 games. And then Lowry just hedging and recovering, so they were not allowing Lowry to switch on to Brunson. And Brunson, then he started getting buckets in the second quarter. All 3 levels. In the pick and roll, his floater game, in the mid-range, his footwork is so good. He's hitting the open threes. And Embiid, he was just ass. He was just ass in the second quarter, missing everything, just sitting up top, turning it over. Robinson and Deuce McBride were getting more minutes than their white counterpart starters in DiVincenzo and Hartenstein. Deuce had 8 points in the second quarter. Brunson had 13 points in the second quarter on 6 for 6 shooting and played the entire first half. It was the first time he had done that all season long. As far as the Sixers, and I'm watching the game from their perspective because it was do or die for them, and they should not have been down 3-1. They missed a lot of open threes and were taking too many rushed contested ones with the season on the line. Maxey and Tobias were still playing fine. Maxey had a buzzer-beating layup, but Joel Embiid just not quite doing enough in that first half. In the second quarter, the score was 32-17 in favor of the Knicks. So they completely dominated that quarter. 21 of those 32 points coming from Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride. The score at halftime was 49-43 New York. Embiid was 3 for 10 at the half with 8 points. Maxey 15 points. Tobias 10 points. So the only one, and Oubre 1 for 7. Lowry 0 for 4. So Lowry, Oubre, Embiid not doing well enough offensively. I will say, though, Lowry defensively was fine. Oubre great defensively. Embiid not bad defensively. It's mainly the offense for those three. And the only one that you really should be getting mad at there is Embiid, because the other guys are role players. You know, you want them to do better, but they're role players. Now, in the third quarter, Tyrese Maxey started to cook. He had 9 points in the quarter, played the entire thing. Embiid and Tobias also played the entire thing. And on the Knicks side, OG, Josh Hart, and Brunson all played the entire thing. And Hartenstein and DiVincenzo played 10.5 minutes of it. So large starters quarter. Maxey had 9, though, in that quarter, getting downhill constantly. Had 3 assists as well. So just being really aggressive. Joel Embiid, he was starting to hit. He had 5 points, 4 assists, but he turned the ball over twice. Just started, just did not have any stretches where you were like, man, Embiid's really starting to cook. None like that. Isaiah Hartenstein, every single time the Sixers defense was in rotation and they had to just like pick up somebody besides Embiid, had to pick up Isaiah Hartenstein, he would get an offensive rebound. He had 3 of them in the third quarter, and it was like every time he had a smaller guy on him, he would get that offensive rebound. It seemed like in that quarter, 2 in that quarter, offensive rebounds. And it seemed like in that quarter, though, he was in drop coverage on basically everyone. But it was a solid quarter for Philly. But Embiid had to be better. Too many jumpers and just bad possessions. The Sixers outscored the Knicks 26-21 in the third quarter to make it a 1-point game going into the fourth. Brunson was held to 2 for 7 shooting in the third. And Joel Embiid was efficient. 4 shot attempts in that third and made 2 of them, and did get his 4 assists. So starting to get back in it. But it's the fourth quarter. That's the one where the difference in the games to me, the first 4 games, Embiid played great in the fourth quarter of game 3, and they won. Did not play well enough in the fourth quarter of the other games, and they lost. Well, this fourth quarter, Maxey and Batum played the entire thing. Deuce McBride and Josh Hart played the entire thing, and Mitchell Robinson played all but 1 minute and 5 seconds. OG Anunoby played all but 1 minute and 16 seconds. Brunson did get a 2-minute break here. Now, to start the fourth, Tyrese Maxey continued to be in attack mode. He created 5 points right away to begin the quarter to make it 74-70, and the Knicks called for time. Mitchell Robinson, he continued to lock Embiid up, just completely lock him up. Cameron Payne, just ever since game 3, every time he's come in now, every time he touches the ball, looks to shoot a 3. Every time. Embiid missed 2 wide open looks in pick and pop to begin the fourth. And then he got a turnover, 2 turnovers. Just reckless passes, just completely reckless. Some of them unforced. Was double teaming the post and turned it over. Josh Hart had a second and 1 in transition. McBride had a layup that caused a timeout and capped off a 10-0 run for the Knicks to make it 80-77. So at this point, it looks like Embiid's just blowing the whole game for the Sixers. Now, at one point, they tried small ball with Nico, Maxey, Tobias, Kyle Lowry, and Kelly Oubre because Embiid was literally playing that bad. And the Knicks matched it with OG at the 5, but it was very short-lived. They just gave Embiid a quick rest and got him back in the game. But it was really Tyrese Maxey that was making everything happen for the Sixers. And then it became kind of Maxey versus Brunson. Brunson had 5 straight points going to the basket. One was an and 1. Both of them going right. I'm just getting downhill and finishing there. Embiid, so many times he got the ball taken from Mitchell Robinson. So many times. It was just wild. And OG Anunoby, he was having a great game along with Mitchell Robinson, getting steals, finishing. You were really feeling his defensive presence, even though he wasn't guarding Embiid like he did in the second half of the last game. But he was finishing around the basket, making jump shots, even had a one-on-one situation, ISO, where he had like a step back. But we're looking at this from a Sixers perspective. The stars, Maxey and Embiid, they just kept turning the ball over, and the game felt over when Brunson got double-teamed up top, threw it to Deuce McBride, who hit a jump shot from the foul line to make it 96-90, timeout Philly, crowd's going insane, and then we see one of the craziest finishes I've seen in the playoffs in my life. It almost felt like the opposite of game 2. But for the Sixers now, Tyrese Maxey gets that 4-point play. I don't know what Mitchell Robinson was thinking there, leaning in like that. At that point, you just cannot foul. And then Josh Hart misses a free throw, and Maxey shoots a logo 3 to save the season. I mean, are you kidding me? This guy, ice in the veins. He had a rough game 4, but he's been great in every other game to me. Tyrese Maxey. Wow. Let me tell you how many points he had in the fourth. 17 on 6 for 7 shooting and 4 for 4 from 3. Embiid had 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter. 2 points. 1 for 4. Jalen Brunson, 9 points in the fourth quarter. OG Anunoby, 7 points in the fourth quarter. And Deuce McBride, 6. The Sixers outscored the Knicks 28-27 in the fourth. Both teams finally started hitting shots. Each team shooting over 55% in the fourth. And we had overtime at the Garden. And you would think, life was just taken out of the building. All the Knicks fans thought they were about to go to the second round for the second straight year. But no, the Sixers had something to say about it. But the crazy part was Jalen Brunson came out and had 5 points right away to begin the action. I mean, that guy is just amazing. He's such a relentless scorer. And I'm very impressed by his stamina, that he's able to have this much of the ball throughout the game. And he still has the energy to keep going and get to the basket. Embiid got scored on twice by Jalen Brunson in that pick and roll in drop coverage in the second half. One of them was that bucket to make it 102-97. And the Sixers just stopped switching Maxey on to Brunson. They were hedging and recovering with him. And when they went up 102-97, I thought that the Knicks were like, okay, wow, they showed the resilience. They're going to throw another punch. It's over. But the Sixers, I mean, they just showed a lot of fight here. A 9-0 run to make it 106-102, and they took the lead. And I have to give Joel Embiid a lot of credit. After a really shitty game, it was his rim protection in drop coverage and just one-on-one. That was the difference. His rim protection changed the game. Maxey was obviously getting buckets, but Brunson had a game-tying 3. However, Joel Embiid made some good plays in the overtime. He had that and 1 and a really good pass to Kelly Oubre, who was always felt like he was in the right place, right time for some buckets. And then Jalen Brunson had some really bad decisions at the end. He shot a contested 3 with Tobias Harris on him, and then he had that pass out of the shot. I forget who was contesting that for the Sixers, but he had that pass out of the shot. It may have been Nico. And I thought Nico did such a good job on Brunson late in the game. He did block that potential game winner at the end of regulation. But Maxey, the way he closed the game, and then Embiid's defense, Tobias Harris having a solid game, they actually came back and won this game. It was an incredibly resilient win for the Sixers. And there's nothing you can say except for Tyrese Maxey saved the season. It was obviously a collective effort, but he did this. Like, he really went off. He had 5 points in the overtime. Embiid had 4. Kelly Oubre had 4. 15-9. The Sixers won the overtime, and they win the game 112-106 to keep their season alive. Now the series should be going to 7 games. It should be going to 7 games. But obviously, let's see. I'm going to watch the game probably tonight. How did the Sixers blow that shit? But let's read the lines for this one. For the Sixers, they did not go very deep in the rotation. Paul Reed got 4 minutes and had a donut, and he was 0 for 1. Cam Payne played 14 minutes, had 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. All his shots were threes. He was 2 for 5, though, so I guess not bad. Nico, 33 minutes off the bench. He played more minutes than Lowry. 8 points for him and 8 rebounds. 1 assist, 1 block. That block was at the end of the game against Brunson. He played great defense. I think with Nico, he just needs to hit his 3 ball. He was 2 for 6 in the game, but overall, big stuff from him. Kyle Lowry, one of his worst games of the series, was in foul trouble, a lot of it. 5 fouls, a donut, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. No turnovers, though. 0 for 4 from the field in 26 and a half minutes. And then Kelly Oubre continues to just be spectacular in this series, in my opinion, if we consider both ends of the floor. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover only. 6 for 13 from the field. He was 0 for 3 from deep, so maybe that means he's due for a good shooting game in game 6. He'll take the and in 39 minutes, he was awesome. And then Tobias Harris, it took him 5 games, but finally he showed up, and that's what he needs to do. 19 points, 8 rebounds. Arguably should have still shot more. 7 for 11 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 2 for 2 from the foul line, and no turnovers. And a lot of them were tough shots. And that's what Tobias Harris is, though. He's always been a contested shot maker in the mid-range. So get to the mid-range, get to the post, and be aggressive, dude. 49 minutes for Tobias. And then the stars. Let's start with Embiid. He had a triple-double, though. 19 points, 16 boards, 10 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks. He almost had a quadruple-double, though. 9 turnovers. Oh, my God. But I have to say, without Embiid, they don't come close to winning this game. You know, his presence, the way he's still fighting it out, it matters. 7 for 19 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 4 for 6 from the foul line. He's going to need to be better in game 6. There's no doubt about it. Played 48 minutes. Tyrese Maxey played 52 of a possible 53 minutes. Unbelievable. 46 points. Of course, a playoff career high. Oh, my God. 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 turnovers on 17 for 30 shooting. Talk about emptying the clip. 7 for 12 from 3, 5 for 8 from the foul line. What's up with these guys missing free throws? I mean, do I have to say anything more? That's ridiculous. What an absolute beast. Sixers shot 46% from the field, 38.5% from 3, 68% from the foul line. By the way, nobody healed. So as of game 4, he's not getting minutes anymore. The Knicks, they shot 46.5% from 3. I'm sorry, from the field, 28% from 3. So not very good there. And then 67% from the foul line. What a performance by Maxey. As for the Knicks, they only went 7 deep. No Precious Achiuwa. Mitchell Robinson played 25 minutes and was so good. 2 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 1 turnover on 1 for 2 shooting. He was 0 for 2 from the foul line, though, and made a huge mistake with that foul on Maxey. Deuce McBride continues to be insanely good in this series. 14 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, just 1 turnover on 6 for 11 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3 in 33 and a half minutes. The guy is playing at such a high level. It's unbelievable. But yeah, my God. I just realized that my audio cut out 17 minutes ago. No. I've been having problems trying to put the audio together from Spotify and the actual guy, or the StreamYard and the Spotify. Adobe just gives me shit for some reason. So for the audio people, if you are listening this far in and you're like, why is the audio not been great? It's because of that. So I didn't use the audio file, unfortunately, because I had a clear space on my computer. But anyway, Deuce McBride, 14 points on 6 for 11 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3. He's been spectacular. DiVincenzo, he's still not shooting very well. 26 minutes played, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks. Yes, he had that game winner in game 2, but he needs to shoot the ball better. 3 for 10 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, 2 for 2 from the foul line. Isaiah Hartenstein played 26 and a half minutes, had 6 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 turnovers on 1 for 2 shooting and 4 for 4 from the foul line. I think solid game for him. He always does his job. And then OG Anunoby, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. Did turn the ball over 4 times, which is too much for him. 7 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 1 for 2 from the foul line. So OG in 50 minutes. So OG, he's really come alive the last 2 games. They're going to need more of this going forward. Josh Hart played every single second of the game. Insane. Some Wilt Chamberlain shit. You don't see that very often. And for how hard he works, it's just unbelievable. 18 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 2 turnovers on 7 for 17 shooting, but he finally had a bad game from 3, 1 for 6 from 3, 3 for 5 from the foul line. I mean, of course, you want Josh Hart to make more shots, but I think he's legitimately been good in every single game. But he needed to make that free throw. That's the one thing he needed. Jalen Brunson, he's been awesome the last 3 games after a slower start to the series. 40 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 straight 40-point games, by the way, 3 steals, 4 turnovers, 15 for 32 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3, 6 for 9 from the foul line. Again, what's up with these star players missing free throws? Not quite good enough in terms of closing the game for Brunson, I have to say. So let's see how game 6 goes. Amazing win for the Sixers. Now, let's talk about the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this is just, the Bucks have to win to keep their season alive. Obviously, no Giannis, no Dame. They still had Lopez on Turner, Middleton on Nesmith. Malik Beasley, who's starting in place of Dame, was guarding Tyrese Halliburton, Bev on Nembhard, and then Bobby on Siakam. And Siakam was so quiet in this game. After having 2 games to begin the series where he was literally the best player, he's been so ghost, like this game especially. Miles Turner was guarding Brook Lopez, Halliburton on Malik Beasley, Andrew Nembhard on Pat Bev, Aaron Nesmith on Chris Middleton, and Siakam on Bobby Portis. Lopez was in drop coverage. Funny enough, Siakam was in drop coverage against Beasley and Beverly because they don't want to switch Nembhard or Halliburton onto Bobby. Miles Turner was in drop coverage. And to start the game, the Pacers went on a 12-0 run. Ben Shepherd had 2 threes and was playing good defense. Pacers went up by 10 because, again, they just have more talent on the court. They have their superstar players or superstar player. I don't even know. Is Tyrese Halliburton a superstar yet or is he just a star? I think right now I'm just going to say he's a star. But he's going to be a superstar in like a year or two. Superstars for me consistently lead their teams out of the first round. Even though it's a team thing, I think he's still very good, but superstar, I don't know if he's top 5 at his position. I'd have to look at that after the season. They didn't actually go with Isaiah Jackson, a backup big in the first half Indiana. They went with Obi Toppin as a small ball 5. And the Pacers, they just have more offense out there. They were up 31-23 after 1, but someone who was getting going for the Bucks was Chris Middleton. He had 10 of the 23 first quarter points for Milwaukee. And I love the aggression increase in Chris Middleton these last 3 games. Games 3, 4, and 5. But in game 1, he was good as well. And we've been wondering, his health has been better this year than last, but how good is he going to be? He's in and out of the lineup so much, inconsistent stat lines. But man, he was being so aggressive in the post, just mid-range, doing his thing, man, doing his thing. And then speaking of aggressive, what Bobby's going to do. But Patrick Beverly, he was leading this Bucks team like a floor general, calling for the ball, running pick and rolls, making good reads, getting in the paint, kicking it out. I mean, so impressive. There was one sequence where he had a block and a bucket, which forced a timeout. It was 31-27. Pacers were still winning at this point. He's getting the crowd hyped. And the run just continued after the timeout. Bobby started to cook. They were isolating him a lot on the left side of the court. And one thing I love about Bobby, he can turn over either shoulder. He has a jump hook with his right hand over the left shoulder, but he's got a turnaround jump shot over either shoulder. And I think if he had his own team, he could easily average 20-plus points a game. He's getting double-doubles every game of this series without Giannis. And the Bucks went on a 16-2 run. Beverly had 7 straight points at one point. It was a Pat Bev and Bobby Portis quarter, and the whole team just locked down defensively. Super physical, solid at the point of attack. Brook was doing well in drop coverage. They only allowed 17 points in the third quarter, and a lot of it starts with the offense because when they start making shots, that keeps the Pacers out of transition, which they love to do and get out and run. But you got to give the Bucks credit because they were playing with this. Okay, we don't have Giannis and Dame, but it's our season on the line. We're going to give it everything we have. And at halftime, the score was 53-48 Bucks. They weren't even up by that much. Miles Turner had 9 points at the half. Halliburton had just 6 on 3 for 8 shooting, 6 points, 4 assists. I'm sorry, no, I read that wrong. He had 11 points at half, so he was actually playing pretty well. Chris Middleton had 17 points at halftime, and 7 of them came from the line. So you love to see that. Middleton getting to the free throw line. Bobby had 11. Pat Bev had 12 at the half. So third quarters, though, is where this game really blew open. It was a 7-0 run in the first 80 seconds of the quarter from Milwaukee. Ended up being a 9-0 run. And it just started with a couple of misses and the Bucks getting out and running. Bobby Portis made a layup that forced a timeout. And as far as Milwaukee, they were putting anyone but Lopez on Turner in that second half because they wanted to keep Lopez out of the action and keep him around the rim. So a lot of switching from Milwaukee, having Lopez guard a guy like a Nesmith or even a Siakam. And on offense, Middleton was cooking, and so was Bobby. I mean, mid-range clinics, post-up stuff that I love. I love seeing those two guys work. Third quarter, let's take a look at it. Chris Middleton, 7 points. Bobby Portis, 10 points, 4 rebounds. Malik Beasley, 8 points. And this is what really topped it all off, in my opinion, was Pat Bev assisting Malik Beasley for 2 threes in a row. And he was doing a little shimmy shake, Malik Beasley was at the timeout. And that's when you knew the Bucks were just rolling on all cylinders. Their defense was great. Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez doing a decent job defensively. And they did a good job of translating defense to offense. You know, off of the pace or misses, they were giving a little taste of their own medicine. Brook Lopez had a really solid game, finishing in the pick and roll and knocking down shots. Just such a great game for Pat Bev, Bobby Portis, and Chris Middleton. And the crowd was chanting Bucks in 7 at the end. And they played with that level of desperation. And I was looking at it more from a Bucks perspective because they were desperate. So they win it and they keep their season alive. 115-92, an impressive win, even without Damian Lillard and Giannis, who were loving it on the bench. Now, the fourth quarter of the game was basically in the refrigerator. By the way, the third quarter, which was the difference maker in the game, the Bucks outscored the Pacers 34-19. So that was the difference maker. And they were up 20 going into the fourth. And the fourth is not really anything to talk about. So let's read the lines for the game. For the Indiana Pacers, Isaiah Jackson played 9 minutes, had 4 points and 4 rebounds on 1 for 2 shooting. Doug McDermott had just played 5 minutes, 3 points on 1 for 2 shooting, made a 3. TJ McConnell played 16 and a half minutes, and he did not shoot well. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers on 3 for 10 shooting, 0 for 2 from 3. He's really not a good three-point shooter. Ben Shepherd played 24 minutes, had 7 points, 4 rebounds on 2 for 4 shooting, and all those shots were threes. Was 1 for 2 for the foul line. Obi Toppin, he's been really good in this series, had 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on 3 for 7 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 4 from the line. The starters for the Pacers, they all played 27 minutes or more. Aaron Nesmith played 27. Did not have as good of a game as games 3 and 4. 7 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 1 turnover, 5 fouls, 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. And then you have Andrew Nembhard, who's had a really solid series, I'm not going to lie. But he was getting bullied for a bit by Bev. 12 points, 3 Bev kept doing the too small. He is funny. 12 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists for Andrew Nembhard on 6 for 12 shooting and 0 for 2 from 3. And then Miles Turner, he's been really good in this series, but he was on the quieter side this game. And a lot of that was because that adjustment by Glenn, not having Lopez guard Turner, because Lopez is going to be in drop coverage. You want to keep Lopez around the rim. Don't want to keep conceding those open threes to Turner. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, just 1 turnover on 6 for 9 shooting, 1 for 4 from 3. And Miles Turner, you started to see in that second half when they did that, he was getting the ball in the post and actually looking to be aggressive that way. And I love seeing that. So it'll be interesting to see if the Bucks try that same strategy in Game 6. Do they go to that? Now the stars for the Pacers. Siakam was on the quieter side. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover on 5 for 12 shooting, 1 for 4 from 3, 1 for 5 from the foul line. Again, what's going on with the all-star caliber players missing free throws? Siakam, he'll be better, but he's got to be more aggressive. I think he was fine, though. He still plays D. Then Halliburton, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers on 6 for 14 shooting, 4 for 10 from 3. 10 of his 14 shots coming from beyond the arc. Not good enough. And the Bucks. Gallinari played 20 minutes. Good to see old Gallo. 4 points, 6 rebounds for him on 1 for 3 shooting and 0 for 2 from 3. Andre Jackson played 7 minutes and AJ Green played 5. They combined for 0 for 3 shooting, all of them being threes, 0 points. Pat Connaughton had a good impact in this game, though. Aggressive on the offensive glass, knocking down shots, playing good D. 9 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Just 1 turnover on 4 for 6 shooting, 1 for 3 from deep from Pat. Gotta love that. Then the starters. Malik Beasley played 28 minutes, and man, was he great. 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and even guarded Halliburton. 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3. Dude was lights out. Then Pat Bev, what a game. Listen to this stat line for Bev. 13 points, 4 rebounds, 12 assists. A double-double for Bev. 2 steals, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 4 for 7 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 4 for 5 from the foul line in 36 minutes, and he was a plus 36. Oh my God. He might have to be the player of the game for this one. How about Brook Lopez? 12 points, just 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers on 5 for 10 shooting, 0 for 3 from 3, 2 for 2 from the foul line in 31 minutes. I think he's had 2 really good games in a row. I can't even remember how well he played in game 3. Chris Middleton, man, what a series he's having. Love to see this. 29 points, 12 rebounds, double-double for Chris, 5 assists, 2 turnovers on 9 for 20 shooting, 4 for 7 from 3, and 7 for 9 from the line in 40 minutes. He was excellent. Then how about Bobby? Another double-double. He's had a double-double in all of the games that he's finished. So 4 out of 5 games because he got ejected in game 4. 29 and 10 in this game for Bobby. On 14 for 24 shooting, 1 for 3 from deep. He was unstoppable, and the Bucks live to see another day. And now we're going to close it out by talking about the final game of the day before this Knicks game against the Pacers starts. And it's going to be the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers game 5. The only game 5 that was 2-2, besides, of course, Clippers. No Jared Allen, though, who's arguably been the best player in the series for the Cavs, which is a big loss. I don't even know if he played game 6 or not, but we'll see. So Evan Mobley started at the 5, and they played Isaac Okoro in the starting lineup instead. So, by the way, none of the games of this series have been close until this one. So this was a great one. Evan Mobley on Wendell Carter. So again, they started Wendell Carter. We've talked about that this series. This is the third game out of 5 that he started, and I've been saying that from the start. I don't know why Isaac was starting. Okoro on Banchero, so he's taking him instead of Mobley. Mobley's guarded him the first 4 games. Strus on Franz, Donovan Mitchell on Jalen Suggs, and then Darius Garland on Gary Harris. Wendell Carter on Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs on Donovan Mitchell, Tobias Harris. Gary Harris on Darius Garland, Franz Wagner on Max Toaster-Strudel, and then Paolo Banchero on Isaac Okoro. Now, Evan Mobley was in drop coverage, and so was Wendell Carter. The Magic had no problem switching the 3-4 matchup, so Franz can guard Okoro, and then Paolo can guard Strus. That means nothing. Mitchell and Darius Garland were hedging on Paolo, so that means that the Cavs were not allowing Donovan and Garland to guard Paolo. We've seen them allow Donovan to guard Paolo at points of the series, never Garland, and I think it's in their best interest to not. Karis LeVert was being allowed to switch on to Franz, and then Mo Wagner was in drop coverage as well. Jalen Suggs, who's been amazing so far in the series, he was 1 for 6 to start and just didn't have a very good shooting game. The Cavs threw the first punch, a 13-6 start, mainly because Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell were in attack mode. And Donovan said before the game he did not shoot enough in Orlando, and he is right. Those two need to be great. It starts with those two, Garland and Mitchell. They got to get downhill. They need to make things happen. Evan Mobley, good start defensively, finishing around the basket. I thought Wendell Carter, though, did such a good job of staying strong on Evan Mobley. When Mobley would catch the ball on the roll and just ram into his chest, Carter stayed strong, took the hit, stayed vertical, and did a really good job of causing some misses. Now, even though the Cavs went up by 7 in the first, Orlando threw a punch back. 8-0 run, and it began with 2 Paolo Banchero threes and the classic Orlando Magic lockdown D, and they were trying to put Darius Garland in the action, and they got some really good looks. Paolo Banchero starting to cook. But just like the Knicks game, it was a game of runs here too. The Cavs returned it with a 7-0 run, and it was Darius Garland starting to go crazy. He had 5 points in a row. One of them was a pull-up 3 with the big and drop coverage, and then he had 2 threes in the last minute of the quarter. One was a sidestep on the left wing with a hand in his face. Darius Garland had 17 points in the first quarter, and then LeVert had a 3 right at the end of the quarter, right before the buzzer sounded, that caused a timeout for the Magic. At the end of the quarter. So Darius Garland had 17 points in the first quarter. That is how you set the tone. And I'm looking at this game from a Cavs perspective because I picked them to win this series, and I believe 7 games, but it might have been 6. I have to go back and check. But I was looking at it from their perspective. They had to win this game. And even though they didn't have Jared Allen, they still, in my opinion, had enough to get it done. And in the first quarter, the score was 33-23 in favor of the Cavs. Garland had 17 points and played the entire first quarter. And then for the Magic, Franz Wagner played the entire first quarter, had 5 points and only shot 2 times. Paolo had 8 points in the first. And Jalen Suggs was 1 for 7 in the first. So, yeah, as I said, he started out struggling. Second quarter action, Max Strus, I have to say, he was not too involved shooting the ball at this point in the first, at the first half of the game, but his defense was always solid, whether it was man-to-man, closeouts, help. His effort level is just very high. I thought Isaac Okoro did a really solid job. I'm sorry, Jonathan Isaac for the Magic did a really good job coming off the bench and grabbing offensive rebounds and putting it back up strong. So a couple of putbacks. And the Cavs, they went strict defensively. They no longer were switching Strus on a Paolo. So essentially, if your name is not Evan Mobley or Isaac Okoro, you're not guarding Paolo Banchero. And they did not play George Niang in this game. I think that was the first game they didn't play him. And as been the tradition in all these games, or as been the theme in all these games of this series, both teams, 2 of the best defensive teams in the league, not the best offensively. It's been hard-nosed defense. Hard-nosed. But the Cavs made a little bit of a run to make it 48-39, and it starts with Evan Mobley's defense around the rim and on Banchero at times. And when they missed, or the Magic missed or turned the ball over, it led to transition points for Donovan Mitchell, for Okoro, for these guys. Now, to end the half, the Magic went on an 8-0 run. Paolo Banchero had a couple of pull-ups, and from what I've seen so far, he's got a cash pull-up going right. I don't know if he has it going left yet. I got to keep paying attention, but I love that mid-range, and when he gets to the post bag, he's very fundamentally sound for a one and done. I've been saying it. He really is. Once he gets the 3 ball, look, I mean, it's over. This guy's going to be a best player in championship team material. Let's see. Second quarter, 24-15 in favor of the Magic. How about that? Holding the Cavs to just 15 points, 33% shooting, and 1 for 10 from 3 in the quarter. And 10 of the 15 points came from Donovan Mitchell, who played the entire second quarter. Darius Garland, 0 for 2 in that second. So after 17 points in the first, a donut in the second. And Max Strus also had a donut in the second. And Evan Mobley also had a donut in the second. And Karis LeVert also had a donut in the second. But you know who didn't? And you know who played in this game and actually played really well? And I can't believe it? Marcus Morris. Marcus fucking Morris is getting playoff minutes and playing well in 2024. I do not believe it. It is insane. It is quite insane. Second quarter, let's see. Yeah, nothing much to report for Orlando. Nobody on the team individually scored more than 5 in the quarter. Kind of a balanced attack. Third, let's see. What was the score at halftime? Score at halftime was 48-47 Cavs. So neck and neck game. Third quarter, Paolo, he started getting in his ISO bag. Cash pull-ups, man. Mid-range. 10-2 run by the Magic because they held the Cavs without a field goal for nearly 5 minutes. And it started with Jalen Suggs clamping Donovan Mitchell. He was in his rear view at the point of attack, and Donovan was just like McCollum, second-guessing the shots in the in-between game. He was just passing up. It was leading to really bad possessions. Suggs was clamping his ass. And the Magic were putting Max Strus in the action. And they weren't switching it, right? So they were getting some 4-on-3 situations. And then when they were getting Paolo in advantageous situations, he was getting buckets. And then you know what started happening? Marcus Morris started guarding Paolo. And Max Strus would just hedge, and Marcus would go under the screen. So take away the initial downhill and then have somebody still there. And you know what saved the Cavs, actually, was Max Strus going insane at the end of the quarter. 3 threes. One of them was super deep, coming off a flare screen from 30 feet away. And another was in the corner. It was 27-23 in favor of the Cavs in that third quarter. So they were up by 5 going into the fourth. Paolo Banchero had 11 points in the third quarter. Max Strus also had 11 points in the third and played the entire thing, as did Franz Wagner, who was 0 for 2 in the third, 4 points. But yeah, Darius Garland, just 4 points in the third. Donovan Mitchell, 0 for 3, donut. So as I said, he was getting locked up. Fourth quarter, here we go. Joe Ingles made a three. Boo. To make it 80-79 Orlando. Timeout Cleveland. The Cavs punch back. Donovan Mitchell pull up three. 85-83 Cleveland. Timeout Orlando. Then Paolo Banchero looked like he was about to just take this game right by himself. Like it was just contested jumper after contested jumper, pull up after pull up. Amazing. And then Marcus Morris just continued to come out of nowhere, hit a big three, and was playing defense on Paolo Banchero to close this game. I couldn't believe my eyes, and was playing drop coverage on Franz Wagner. Like, it was insane to see this. And he was actually doing not bad. Whenever Paolo settled, then yes, he did okay. Every time Paolo, I don't know if Paolo's been watched the Clippers last year and knows that Marcus Morris can't guard him to save his life, but if he just puts his head down and goes by, he'll get by. But it's just funny when he settles because he thinks, oh man, Marcus is intimidating. But Senior did such a good job, and he was making shots. Like, he really was making shots. They were switching that fourth. But you know what they ended up doing, though, that won them the game, Cleveland? They switched Marcus Morris on to Wendell Carter, and then they put Mobley on Paolo, and Mobley, like, low-key locked him up the rest of the game. It was really impressive. Very impressive. And Max Strus had some huge plays in the fourth. He had a pick and pop three. Then he had a drive and dish to Evan Mobley for a left-handed dunk. And then the play that really put the Cavs in the driver's seat, Darius Garland, I believe, got downhill and fed it to Mobley for another finish around the rim. And it was crazy because Mitchell was selling, man. He missed a layup. He was missing threes, taking rough shots. But as I said, Evan Mobley's defense on Banchero was making the difference. And then he had those two finishes late. And then Paolo took a really bad three-pointer late in the game. And yeah, the fact that Marcus Morris Sr. was closing the game for a playoff team in 2024 is insane. And then the play that won him the game, Franz Wagner down by, I think, 2, gets by Evan Mobley, and then Mobley blocks him, pins him off the glass. They get the ball, make 2 free throws. I forget who made them. And they won the game by 1 because they had I think Paolo Banchero had a consolation 3. It was Donovan Mitchell made the free throws. And the Cavs survive on a game-sealing block by Evan Mobley, 104-103. In the fourth quarter, Franz Wagner was 1 for 5. Paolo Banchero had 16 in the fourth. This guy was insane. 5 for 9. I mean, I don't think they lost because of him, even though he took a bad shot. But Magic outscored the Cavs 33-29 in the fourth. Donovan Mitchell had 14 points in the fourth quarter, which was great. But he was 2 for 6 in the game. I'm sorry, in the quarter. 9 out of his 14 points came at the line. Mobley's 4 points were those big points. Max Strus's 3 was that huge 3. Darius Garland only had 2 points in the fourth. So huge win for the Cavaliers. Let's read the lines to close this episode out. Orlando shot 46% from the field. Cleveland 43%. Orlando shot just 29% from 3. It's not the same on the road. Cavs shot 35% from 3. Orlando shot 76% from the foul line. Cavs shot 79% from the foul line, but the Magic shot 10 more free throws. A win without Jared Allen, big time. For the Magic, Joe Ingles played 10 minutes, had 6 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist on 2 for 5 shooting and 2 for 3 from deep. Arguably his best game of the series. Cole Anthony played 11.5 minutes. He's just been night and day road and home. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and a turnover on 1 for 4 shooting. Markelle Fultz, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. 2 turnovers on 3 for 3 shooting. That looks like a really good stat line, but I watched the game from a Cavs perspective, so I didn't really notice much from him. Mo Wagner played 15 minutes, had 8 points, 2 rebounds, and a turnover on 2 for 3 shooting. Public enemy number 1 in Cleveland, 1 for 2 from 3. Jonathan Isaac, solid performance, 7 points, 5 boards on 3 for 5 shooting, 1 for 3 from 3 in 22 minutes. Then the starters, Gary Harris played just 19 minutes, had a donut, and the only categories he registered in were blocks with 2 and then turnovers with 2, and 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. Wendell Carter played 33 minutes, had 7 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists and a steal, and 3 blocks. So his defense was very good. I think, and no turnovers. I think 7 points on 3 for 6 shooting, though, 0 for 2 from 3 is not enough. If Marcus Morris guards him in Game 6, I think they should try to go to him. But let's see. And then Jalen Suggs played 39 minutes, Did not shoot well in this game. Great defense on Donovan, but did not shoot well. 13 points, 5 boards, 2 steals, and a block. 1 turnover on 5 for 14 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. And then the main men, Franz Wagner, not good enough in this game. Again, for him, night and day on the road. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 turnovers on 3 for 11 shooting, 1 for 6 from 3, 7 for 8 from the foul line. Banchero, though, he's been so good in the last 3 games. Let's see. 39 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 turnovers, though. He's got to take care of the ball better. He's been turning the ball over way too much in the series. 14 for 24 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the foul line. Now for Cleveland, Sam Merrill played 5 minutes in this game. Had a donut, 0 for 2, missed both threes. Tristan Thompson played 9 minutes in this game. Had a donut, but he got 3 assists, a steal, and a rebound. So you'll take that. Karis LeVert played 19 minutes. I thought his defense was very good, actually, on the ball. Had 1 clean cookies. He had 3 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block. So 1 interception and 1 clean cookie. 1 turnover, 1 for 3 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Isaac Okoro didn't shoot well, but he did enough to get the job done. His defense was solid. 8 points. I mean, he honestly couldn't guard Paolo, to be honest. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover on 2 for 10 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3, 2 for 2 from the foul line. And then Max Strus played 40 minutes. His best game of the series for sure. 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover on 6 for 13 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3. And then Evan Mobley, really solid game. In the place of Jared Allen playing the center, double-double for him. 14 points, 13 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 1 turnover on 7 for 11 shooting, 0 for 2 for the foul line. And then the stars, Darius Garland, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. His best game since game 2. Big time for him, but definitely needs to be a little bit better. If he has a great first quarter like that, 6 points for the rest of the game is not good enough. 9 for 16 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, 2 for 3 from the foul line. So he shot well from the field, needs to shoot better from the foul line. Donovan Mitchell got the job done, but he needs to be better. 28 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 4 turnovers on 9 for 23 shooting, 1 for 7 from 3, and 9 for 10 from the foul line. Look, I like that he got to the line. He won the game. That's all that matters, but he's got to be better. All right, that's it for me in this one, guys. If I want to read some comments, sure, I will. Bones got busy, says, made a joke saying Kawhi played great in his return last night against OKC. And I got a question. Tavencio asked, what do I think of the podcast between LeBron and JJ Redick? I think it's a really great show. I like listening to LeBron, though. JJ, you know what I think of him. Phoenix Gen Z talks about my clean shave. Lakers Nation prefers the bearded version of myself. Oh, man. Diallo224 says, fire Lawrence Frank. Shout out to everybody in the live, man. Someone asked, did I hear Evan Turner speak about Paul George? No, I didn't. And someone else said, just want you to know that I'm glad you posted that inventing video of the Clippers. Thank you so much. But yeah, I guess that's it, guys. Appreciate you all. And I'll be live again. Let's see. By the way, check out the latest episode of Basketball and Figueroa out with me and Edwin. Also, check out my tirade if you didn't see it. I bet you everybody has. Check out my vlogs, a whole season's worth. The playlist is there. And all the post games I'm doing, they're all timestamped. So any game you want to see me talk about from the playoffs, it will be there. And you can do that for multiple years as well. Peace out, everybody. Make sure you comment on this video, everything I said or anything about what I said. And we will be live again. Let's see. Probably tomorrow. Same time around. Let's do it. Peace.